Welcome back, guys, to episode 12, where I'm going to go through Ali Abdaal's nine side hustles that made him 27k a month and 13 million YouTube views. So he goes through 9 different side hustles, and he goes through passive income, and he air quotes it because nothing's really passive, he says. So he means that by nothing's really like you do it and then, well, I disagree with his point because with number one, investment in stock and shares, you kind of do it and you do just leave it there for a while at least, unless you're day trading, which I don't recommend. So he goes, there is no get rich quick scheme, which again I disagree, because if you are playing with crypto and investing with crypto, and obviously I'm not a financial advisor, so this is all just for entertainment. If you invested in the right crypto a few years ago, or even now essentially, and it blew up, you overnight millionaire. So there are some get rich quick schemes, but it's difficult to find, and it's all based on luck and how much research you do and how hard you work. But he also says only way to make money is to provide value, which I 100% agree with. So if you're providing value to people, people will then help or think of you to solve problems that they have. So how he goes through, how hard is it to get started? How hard is it to get $100 from each one of them, and how hard is it to maintain? And he ranks them in like different stars and stuff, and he goes into a lot of detail with like numbers. So I'm gonna go through quite a few numbers here, guys. So if you aren't a numbers person, like you might want to pause and like when you're writing this down, or you might just want to ignore the numbers. But essentially, investing in stock and shares, his money is in all. Most of his money is in S&P 500, and obviously S&P 500, if you don't know, is investing in the top 500 companies, distributed in a weighting of how big they are, etc. And he recommends Webull as a platform in the USA and Free Trader Vanguard in the UK. So Google the best stockbrokers if you need to find trading. Difficulty of starting 1 star, so it's really easy. How hard is it to make $100 per month? So you need around 12k in terms of compounding if you're looking at the S&P 500, because it grows at average rate of about 10% per year. But obviously you need to deduct inflation, which he doesn't deduct, and he doesn't adjust for inflation. And inflation is so important because inflation is basically, if you don't know what inflation is the devaluation of money due to government printing money, and the cost of goods and services essentially increasing due to wages or materials or whatever in the supply chain, which is what inflation is the cost of goods and services increasing. But if you want a like real definition of inflation, let's Google it. So Google says inflation, the action of inflating something or the condition of being inflated in economics, is a general increase in prices and fall in the purchasing value of money. If that makes sense to you at all. If you're an economist, if you haven't studied economics, it's just think of like a packet of crisps or prices of eggs in the USA going up by a certain amount, and then your dollar 1 year in 2025, you could buy 1 egg, for example, but in 2026 you can only get 0.8 of an egg. So that's just a really simple way of thinking about it. And he said it's not hard to maintain at all. His portfolio is around 350k. and that makes about $682 a week in passive income for him, which I guess is doing really well. In terms of number two, so he teaches YouTube channels. So he teaches people how to create YouTube channels. So which is his, I guess, like main second side hustle, or his main job. And if you have 1,000 subscribers and 4K of watch time, it took him about 6 months and 52 videos to be able to get there. But he compared that to average people, and it takes about 90 something videos to get about 1,000 subscribers. So just keep making videos. Like, if you have to make 100 video for you to get 1,000 subscribers, that's fine, you know. And averaging $2 per 1,000 views, need about 50k views for $100. $100 a month, 10k subscribers for him, and 4 to 5 to make compelling YouTube vids. Maintenance is 2 out of 5 stars. So making YouTube videos is, I use Riverside to make YouTube videos, and he goes on to mention starting a podcast with Riverside as well. So I film with Riverside and I then turn it into a podcast with Riverside, and it makes reels for me with Riverside, and he's an investor in this. So it depends if you're comfortable with video. If you're comfortable with video, I would suggest jumping on YouTube rather than making a podcast, because, well, not rather than making a podcast, but make your podcast format video, so you can have both video and voice, essentially. It just depends how comfortable you are with video and being online and having your face showing. So 1 out of 5 stars to start, and you can use Anchor FM or Riverside. You don't necessarily need a sponsorship or brand deal to make money, but he says that you do. So $18 for 30-second ads, $25 per 1,000 views per 60-second ads. $100 is like 1k download per episode times 4 episodes, so 4k views per month. So it's not possible in. So he says you have to keep making episodes, like you have to keep doing YouTube videos, essentially. And he has a Not Overthinking podcast with him and his brother. So it's called Not Overthinking. I find podcasts, like, everyone should be starting a podcast, even though the amount that listen to podcasts is genuinely smaller. It's so easy to just speak to a mic and you not being on camera. You can do it when you wake up for literally 5-10 minutes or 2 minutes even, and you're making evergreen content because your podcast is yours. So if you don't have a podcast, I don't understand what you're doing with your life, because doing podcasts is so easy, so easy. And number 4, affiliate marketing. So 48% earn 20k a year, 2 out of 5 stars to start affiliate programming, posts on social media and website. You have Amazon affiliates. So he says Amazon offers like 2 to 3% on commission. So you need about 8,000 visitors to make $100 building an audience or domain. Skillshare has an affiliate program giving people $7, 15 people to sign up. So you need to stick at affiliate programming for at least 2 years to be able to make a decent amount of money. Number 5, for selling digital. So with affiliate marketing, I wouldn't recommend it if you do not use your product yourself, and if your house is not big enough to like buy all of this shit, because why are you promoting someone else's product and not your own product? If like it, I just wouldn't recommend it unless you are really, really, really into it. Like, for example, in my previous videos, you might have seen I use a lot of Dior makeup. So if there was a Dior affiliate program, I would sign up straight away, makeup wise and skincare wise, because I've used it for years. I'm able to talk about it. I had a professional facial with it, so, and learn about it, and been close enough, and I'll talk to sales advisors all the time about like their products. So essentially, being an ambassador or affiliate, you have to be really, really into the product. And I'm not just saying in like you have to be into all the products, not just one thing. And I'm not saying I use or I have used every single Dior product that's out there. And I'm not promoting Dior here. I'm just saying, giving it as an example. Like, I spent majority of my makeup and skincare is Dior or Lancome, and not makeup, so skincare for Lancome. And yeah, I went on a bit of a tangent there, but number 5, selling digital products as ebooks, downloading the apps, or selling digital products like ebooks or download or an app. So there was a guy called Traff. He sold iOS 14 icon sets for $30 and he made 300k. There's a guy called Allure, and he made 700k selling websites, Tumblr themes since 2014. So ebooks are like 2 out of 5 stars to start. Have to provide enough value, solve a pain point that someone has a need for. But if you don't have a big enough audience, or if you don't know how to get your product out there in front of the right people, do not sell an ebook. Do not do that, because you'll just be like launching it to air. For example, Grace Beverly, she sold her PDFs for $35 and she sold hundreds of thousands of them because she already leveraged a nice network over a couple of years of compounding her exercise and gym, for example. So she was able to make it really successful. But if you don't have a way to launch, obviously leverage micro and macro influencers. But I'm just saying, don't just launch an ebook with zero audience, because it will fail. 6, starting a course. So courses obviously need to be good and really good to make $100. He uses Skillshare, 28 hours of watch time to make $100 a month, or 28 people a month watching it. World of online education is exploding after COVID. People are obviously refining their skills over and over and over again. I use websites like Coursera, and I've just signed up to Skillshare, so I'll be using Skillshare more often. And yeah, so he has about 60k in passive income he makes from his Skillshare courses. I think he has about, don't quote me on this, 7 courses or more. He's a master in making courses on Coursera, Skillshare. So number 7, pay membership or community. So like Boss Babe, for example, need an audience obviously that knows and likes and trusts you. They have about 3 million on Instagram, so that's how they're able to launch their society membership, and they mentor women who wants to start businesses every week or every couple of weeks, or every month, depending on which membership tier you buy. You need to look into it, so just Google Boss Babe membership. But they are really, really good in terms of if you are a woman starting businesses. I would recommend it. I joined back in, I think, during COVID, and I learned a lot from it. And the only reason why I left was because I kind of got as much out of it as I could. And yeah, I felt like, I learned quite a lot from it, from the templates, from their coaching sessions. So yeah, you need an audience that knows and likes and trusts you. You need a big audience to make money from Patreon, for example. So he uses an example of his friend who has 600k subscribers on YouTube, but she only has 600 Patreon subbies. So it's really hard to do. He puts it at 4 out of 5 stars. he has part-time YouTuber Inner Circle that makes 2.5k a week for him. So that's like 2.55, 10k for a 4-week month, essentially. Or a 12.5k depending on which month you're in. And then number 8, creating businesses that sell goods or services. So take Grace Beverly, for example, again. She created Shreddy first, which is an exercise app, and then she created Tala. And it's really, 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 really hard to get started because, one, you need a lot of capital and a lot of backing. Unless you are mega rich and you want to bootstrap, or you have a way of getting angel investors or whatever investors are, or you have experience, like massive experience in investments, I would suggest do not go launch a product line of like hoodies or clothing or whatever. You can, but trust me, to make like Gymshark like a billion-dollar brand, or to make, Tala, you are going to need massive resources, teams, people, time, money, etc., compared to like doing consulting or doing a PDF, for example, which so there's so much if you're selling a product, there's so much compliance, not compliance, but compliance obviously is one of them, but there's so much with it that if you're not ready to fully commit with it, and if you don't have like a lot of money to start, do not start it, because you can, I guess there's drop shipping where you can make money from like drop shipping, or I'm not saying you won't make money with launching a product. I'm just saying you have to have the execution to be so precise to create a brand where it's like a Gymshark brand or a Tala brand, for example. And I'm not saying don't enter it, because you do you, but I'm just saying creating a goods business is very, very, very complicated, especially finding suppliers, making sure the quality's there, doing customer service, refunds, dealing with all of that bullshit. So yeah, and then number 9, he goes on to building an app or website or service software, such as like SaaS. So SaaS is software as a service. Example, there's a website called indiehackers.com. I've not been on it, but he goes on it, and apparently people share stories and tips of how they built their apps, or their website or their software. So he's built a BMAT Ninja, which him and his brother coded from scratch because he learned how to code. With building apps and stuff, I would say I think most apps you start around, like, if you want a really, really decent app, the last time I looked into it, this was a couple of years ago, it costs around 60 to 70k to just build an app. Obviously you can code it yourself if you can have that expertise, but to build a decent app with it costs like that's just starting costs. That's not even running costs of an app. So yeah, just make sure you have enough money. Again, you don't just go bankrupt because you try to build an app and then don't actually realize how much it costs. So yeah, those are the 9 side hustles, and I put quote as in side hustles. I wouldn't do all 9. I mean, know where your skill sets are. You can try, but I would just try and do 1 or 2, probably just one of them, really, 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 really well before you even. And all of this side hustles depends on your brand, personal brand, depends on your audience, your reach, your partnerships, or your ability to be able to like buy macro and micro influencers to sell your products. But even then, you're like, if you buy an audience, if you're like pushing ads out there, even then it's not organic traffic, and I feel like people will like drop off, like if So this is quite controversial, but I really believe in organic traffic, and I believe that people who will like you or who like you will find you, and who resonates with you will be able to find you in a way where, and yeah, so it's very controversial in a way. Obviously, it's taken him years and years and years to make 27K a month from all these side hustles. And note that, only one or two of them is making him big bucks. Like, the rest of them is making him, like, even if he's got 300 and where was it? 350k invested, and he only makes $682 a week from it. So that is not majority of the 27k a month. So he obviously works really, really hard, and I'm sure he researches everything. Having a background as a doctor, I'm sure he's so much more hardworking than me. But at the same time, I pledge you, I advise you to not go down his route of trying to do 9 side hustles, because you will fail. So yeah, unless you have a background like him, unless you studied in Oxford, unless you have a brilliant brain like him, try to do 1 or 2 things well first before you move on to the other side hustles. And also, he doesn't mention loads of side hustles like reselling and buying something, being able to make money off that. There are other side hustles out there, if you look at side hustles like copywriting, being able to do trading, being able to do which is sort of investing. So investing and trading are 2 different things. Obviously, just Google what they mean, but I won't go into it in this video because it's already running at 20 minutes. But yeah, let's wrap it up there. Thank you very much for listening, and hope you guys give it like this video, give it a like, give it a thumbs up. So thank you very much, and see you next time. Bye.